Anne of Green Gables, Chapter 16. The Boating Accident. One summer day, Anne, Diana, Ruby, and Jane were standing by the Lake of Shining Waters. They were going to act out a story about King Arthur and his knights. The girls were deciding who should play Elaine. Elaine was the beautiful maiden who died for the love of the handsome knight Sir Lancelot. It was Anne's idea to act out the story. She thought it would be very romantic. Now, after Elaine dies, Anne said, she floats to Camelot in a barge. Your father's rowboat can be the barge, Diana. You have to be Elaine, Anne, said Diana. I'm too scared to float down the pond in a boat. All right, I will, Anne said, stepping into the rowboat. Ruby, you be King Arthur. Jane will be Queen Guinevere, and Diana has to be Sir Lancelot. Now don't forget, you all have to meet me at Camelot, the other side of the pond. Anne lay down on the bottom of the boat and closed her eyes. She folded her hands across her chest. Now push the boat into the pond, Jane told the other girls. The girls pushed. The boat floated out into the current. Anne drifted down the pond. She pretended that she was Elaine, the maiden who had loved Sir Lancelot. Suddenly, Anne felt water underneath her. She opened her eyes and sat up. She looked down and saw a big crack in the bottom of the boat. Water was pouring through the crack. The boat was sinking. The boat floated toward the log bridge and bumped into one of the pilings made out of old tree trunks. Anne quickly climbed onto one of the tree trunks and grabbed onto a little branch above it. The boat drifted under the bridge and sank. Diana, Ruby, and Jane saw the boat sink and thought that Anne had sunk with it. They stared at the pond in horror. Then they started running through the woods, screaming at the top of their lungs. They never stopped to look toward the bridge. Anne heard their screams and saw them running across the main road. "Oh, please bring help soon," she whispered. She wasn't sure how much longer she could hold on to the little branch. Each minute seemed like an hour. Oh, why doesn't somebody come, Anne thought. Just when she thought she couldn't hang on another minute, someone came rowing toward her. It was Gilbert Blythe. He rowed up and held out his hand. Anne didn't want to take his hand, but she had to. She clung to his hand and scrambled into the boat. "What happened, Anne?" asked Gilbert. "We were playing Elaine," Anne said without looking at him, "and I had to drift down to Camelot in the barge, the rowboat. The boat began to leak and I climbed up here. Would you be kind enough to row me to the landing?" When they reached the landing, Anne stepped out of the boat onto the shore. "Thank you very much," she said stiffly. She turned away. Gilbert jumped out of the boat and took her arm. "Look, Anne," he said, "can't we be friends? I'm awfully sorry I made fun of your hair that time. Besides, it happened so long ago. I think your hair is very pretty now." He looked down at her, and Anne's heart skipped a beat. But then she remembered how much he had hurt her feelings when he called her carrots. And because of him, she had been disgraced in front of the whole school. She would never forgive him. "No," she said coldly, "I'll never be friends with you, Gilbert Blythe." "All right." Gilbert jumped back into his boat. "I'll never ask you to be friends again, Anne Shirley." He rowed away. Anne held her head high, but she knew she had been wrong not to forgive Gilbert this time. Halfway up the path, Anne met Diana and Jane. "Anne," Diana gasped, "we thought you had drowned. How did you escape?" "I climbed up on one of the pilings," Anne said wearily, "and Gilbert Blythe came along and rowed me to shore." "Oh, that's so romantic," Jane said. "Of course you'll speak to him after this." "Of course I won't," Anne said. Later, Anne told Marilla, I'm going to give up being romantic. I thought it would be romantic to dye my hair black and to pretend I was Elaine. But my hair turned green and I almost drowned, so I'd rather be sensible and stay out of trouble. I think you're going to see a more sensible Anne from now on, Marilla. I certainly hope so, said Marilla.